The night was silent and the small town on Earth was asleep. Stars shined above the rooftops, but two shadows moved quietly in the sky. They were not birds and they were not airplanes. They were two alien sisters, explorers from a faraway galaxy. Their ship, small and silver, glided down without making a sound. The sisters had traveled across light years to study Earth, and now they were finally here. The older sister, Lyra, looked through the window of their ship. Her eyes glowed pale blue and her face showed both excitement and fear. The younger sister, Arya, pressed her hands against the glass. Her golden eyes were wide as she whispered, "So this is Earth, the planet of humans." They had read about humans in their star maps. The humans were strange creatures, fragile in body yet strong in spirit. Many alien species in the galaxy feared them, not because of weapons but because of their unpredictable nature. Humans were said to fight harder, laugh louder, and survive longer than anyone else. For the sisters, Earth was a mystery waiting to be solved. The ship landed in the shadows of tall trees. The sisters stepped outside, their boots touching Earth soil for the first time. The air smelled different, heavy with grass and wet earth. Crickets chirped, and a cool breeze brushed against their faces. Arya shivered. "It feels alive here. More alive than any world we have seen." Lyra nodded, her voice calm but alert. "Stay sharp. We came to study, but humans are clever. They may notice us if we are not careful." The sisters moved quietly, their long cloaks flowing behind them. Their bodies were slim and graceful, their hair shining like silver threads under the moonlight. To human eyes, they would look beautiful but otherworldly, too perfect, too alien. They followed a narrow path that led from the forest to a cluster of human houses. Yellow lights glowed softly from windows and smoke rose from chimneys. The houses looked small and fragile compared to the vast metal cities of alien worlds, but there was something warm and inviting about them. Arya pointed toward one house. "That one. I can sense energy inside." Lyra narrowed her eyes. "Energy? From where?" Arya focused. "Behind the walls. I hear it too. Something rushing like falling water." The sisters exchanged puzzled looks. Water was precious in their galaxy. Entire wars had been fought over oceans and rivers. To hear water rushing inside a human home, it made no sense. "Maybe it is a machine," Lyra whispered. "A weapon? A defense system?" Arya shook her head. "No. It feels different. It feels alive." Curiosity grew stronger than fear. They crept closer to the house, staying hidden in the shadows. The sound grew louder, steady, flowing almost like rain inside a room. To them, this was impossible. Why would humans trap rain inside their homes? The sisters reached the back of the house. A soft light glowed from a window. Arya peeked through a small crack in the curtain, her heart pounding. Her eyes widened. "I see water," she whispered, her voice shaking. Lyra leaned beside her and looked too. She saw it, the strange chamber inside the house where water poured endlessly from a shining pipe above. The drops sparkled under the light, crashing onto the floor and rising again in white mist. "What is this?" Lyra muttered. "A ritual chamber?" Arya gasped. "It looks like rain but controlled. Why would humans create this?" Both sisters pulled back, shocked. To them, this was no ordinary sight. In their galaxy, water was rare and sacred. To see humans play with it so freely, to let it fall and disappear, it felt almost like madness. Lyra's voice turned serious. "We must investigate. This could be important. This could be why humans are so strong. Maybe this is their secret." Arya hesitated. "But what if it is dangerous? What if it is forbidden?" Lyra placed a firm hand on her sister's shoulder. "Every discovery has danger. We came here for truth. Tonight we will find it." The sisters exchanged a look of determination. They knew they were risking everything. If the humans found them, they could be captured, studied, or worse. But the mystery of this indoor rain was too strong to ignore. Slowly, carefully, they crept toward the back door of the house. Every step felt heavy with suspense. The sound of rushing water filled their ears louder now, pulling them closer like a secret calling their names. The door creaked softly as they pushed it open. A cold draft of air slipped past them. Lyra raised her hand, and a small device on her wrist glowed, scanning for traps. Nothing. Only the sound of water. They stepped inside. The room was dim, smelling faintly of soap and steam. The sound was now deafening. The sisters followed it down a narrow hall until they stood before a closed door. Behind it, the water roared. Lyra reached for the handle, her fingers trembling slightly. She glanced at Arya. "Are you ready?" Arya swallowed hard but nodded. "Ready?" The sisters exchanged one last look. Then Lyra slowly turned the handle. The door creaked open, and white steam spilled out like a ghost. The mystery of the human shower was about to be revealed. The steam drifted out of the doorway like a living cloud, curling around the sisters as they stood frozen. Arya covered her mouth in shock, her golden eyes wide. Lyra narrowed her gaze, trying to control her own fear. The sound of water was stronger now, pounding against the walls like a steady heartbeat. Neither of them had ever heard water move in such a way. On their homeworld, water existed in deep underground lakes carefully guarded by their people. It never flowed freely, never rushed, and certainly never appeared inside a room. To them this was unnatural, almost forbidden. Arya whispered, "It sounds alive, like it wants us to enter." Lyra pressed a finger to her lips. "Quiet. We don't know what waits inside." They moved closer, their boots clicking softly against the wooden floor. The closer they came, the hotter the air felt. Drops of moisture clung to their skin, making their cloaks damp. To the sisters, this was strange magic. Air that carried water inside itself. The door stood half open now, steam wrapping around the frame like white smoke. Lyra gently pushed it wider, and the sight before them made both sisters freeze. Inside was a small chamber, glowing with soft yellow light. From a pipe above, water poured endlessly, striking the floor below. It rose again in fine mist, filling the room with warmth and sound. To human eyes, it was nothing more than a simple shower. But to alien eyes, it was a mystery, a ritual, perhaps even a sacred place. Arya stepped back, her voice shaking. What kind of machine is this? Why do humans let water fall like this?" Lyra frowned. "Not a weapon. Not a defense. Something else. Something ritualistic." For a long moment, they only stood there staring. Their minds raced with questions. Did humans use this chamber for training? For healing? Was this falling water a form of meditation, or maybe even a test of strength? Arya leaned closer, her hand trembling as she stretched it toward the mist. A drop of water landed on her skin. She gasped. "It's warm," she cried softly. "Not cold like rain. It's warm alive." Lyra's eyes widened. Warm water falling from the ceiling? That was unthinkable. In their galaxy, heating water required great energy. To humans, it seemed casual, effortless. This discovery made the sisters uneasy. If humans had so much power that they could waste heat and water in such a way, then perhaps the stories about their strength were true. Arya shook her head, confusion written all over her face. Why would they do this every day? Why waste something so rare? Lyra's voice dropped low. Perhaps it is not waste. Perhaps it gives them something, strength, healing, or even courage. What if this is the source of their power? The thought sent a chill down both their spines. The water kept falling, steady and endless. The sound grew louder in their ears as if it wanted to pull them closer. They exchanged nervous glances. Neither wanted to step inside, yet neither could walk away. Curiosity was stronger than fear. Arya whispered, "We should leave. If the humans find us, we will not escape." Lyra shook her head firmly. "We cannot turn back now. This could be the greatest discovery of our mission. Imagine what our people will say if we bring them the secret of the human ritual." Her words filled the younger sister with both fear and excitement. Together they stepped past the doorway, their boots touching the tile floor. Steam wrapped around them, clinging to their skin and hair. The chamber hummed with the constant roar of water. Arya's heart pounded as she touched the wall, slick with moisture. Drops of water ran down her fingers. She looked at Lyra with wonder. "It feels pure, like the planet itself is speaking." Lyra nodded slowly. "Yes, this is no ordinary machine. This is a symbol of human will. They control the rain. They bend water to their command." The sisters stood there, their breathing heavy, their senses overwhelmed. The shower was ordinary to any human, but to them it was the most powerful thing they had ever seen. Then, from outside the chamber, a faint sound echoed. A creak on the wooden floor. The sisters stiffened. Someone else was in the house. Lyra raised her hand, motioning Arya to stay silent. They pressed their backs against the wall, listening. The water still roared, masking most of the noise, but they could hear it clearly now. Footsteps. Human footsteps. Arya's eyes widened in fear. We are not alone, Lyra clenched her jaw. Stay calm. If they see us, we must hide. Do not panic. The footsteps drew nearer, slow and steady, heading in their direction. The sisters felt trapped, caught between the mystery of the shower and the danger of discovery. The door behind them trembled slightly as if touched. The sisters froze, holding their breath. Would the human enter? Would they find two alien explorers standing inside their ritual chamber? The suspense hung heavy in the air, thicker than the steam itself. Lyra whispered so softly that only Arya could hear. No matter what happens, remember this moment. For tonight we have seen the true power of Earth. The footsteps stopped. Silence fell, broken only by the endless roar of falling water. The sisters braced themselves. The door began to open wider, and the mystery of humanity's wild shower was about to deepen even further. The door creaked open slowly, letting out more steam into the hallway. For a moment, the sisters held their breath. But instead of a human stepping inside, the sound of footsteps faded away, moving back toward another room. They were safe for now. Arya pressed her hand to her chest, her heart racing. That was close, she whispered. Lyra nodded, though her own hands were trembling. Too close. But we cannot stop. We must see what this ritual really means. They turned their eyes back toward the chamber. The water continued to pour from above, striking the tiles below with force, scattering drops into the air. The mist rose around them, clinging to their skin and hair. The whole room felt alive, as if the walls themselves were breathing. Arya took a hesitant step forward. Her boots splashed in a thin layer of water on the floor. She gasped. It's everywhere. It's flowing freely, without fear of being lost. To her, this was unthinkable. On their home planet, water was measured, stored, and protected like treasure. Every drop was counted. Every drop was life. But here, humans allowed it to fall endlessly, disappearing into a hole in the ground. It felt wild, reckless, and powerful. Lyra crouched near the edge of the falling stream. She extended her hand slowly. A warm drop touched her skin, then another. And then the water covered her palm completely. Her eyes widened. It's not just warm, she said in awe. It's comforting. It holds energy, but not the kind that destroys. It feels healing. Arya, too curious to resist, stepped forward and reached her hand out. The water hit her fingers, and she flinched with surprise. But soon her shock turned into laughter, soft and nervous. It tickles, she whispered. It's alive. It dances on my skin. The sisters exchanged looks, both astonished. To them, this was no ordinary liquid. It was more than a resource. It was an experience, a secret of human life they had never imagined. Lyra let her hand stay under the stream longer. She studied the way the water flowed, how it wrapped around her fingers and slipped away. No wonder humans are strange, she said quietly. No wonder they are strong. They live with this every day. They do not just drink water. They play with it. They let it touch them, cover them, teach them. Arya tilted her head, her golden eyes glowing in the steam. Do you think this is why they are so different from the others? Why they can survive what others cannot? Lyra did not answer at once. She watched the endless stream fall, listened to its rhythm, felt its warmth. Perhaps, she said finally, perhaps this is the secret ritual that gives them spirit. Maybe it connects them to their world in a way we cannot understand. Arya's curiosity grew bolder. She stepped under the falling water fully. It splashed over her shoulders, soaked her hair, and ran down her cloak. She squealed with surprise, then laughed louder than she had in years. It covers me, she shouted softly. It wraps me in warmth. Sister, you must try it. Lyra hesitated. She was older, more cautious, but the temptation was too strong. Slowly, she stepped beside Arya, letting the water fall over her head. At first, she stiffened. The warmth, the sound, the pressure, it was overwhelming. But then something inside her eased. The tension in her shoulders melted, her fear softened. For a brief moment, both sisters forgot their mission. They forgot their danger. They only stood there, laughing and gasping as the water poured over them. But deep in their hearts, they also felt something else. Respect. Respect for humans who had turned this wild element into comfort, into daily ritual, into life itself. Arya whispered, almost in reverence. It feels holy. Like the planet is blessing us, Lyra nodded. Yes, and if humans do this every day, no wonder they are unbroken. No wonder they are feared. They draw strength not from machines or weapons, but from their bond with water, with nature itself. They stayed under the stream a little longer, letting the mystery sink into their minds. The steam wrapped around them. Their hair stuck to their faces, their cloaks grew heavy with water. But they did not care. This discovery was greater than anything they had expected to find on Earth. Then suddenly a sound broke their moment of wonder. The floor creaked again. The footsteps had returned. This time they were closer. Much closer. Arya's eyes widened in panic. "The human is coming back." Lyra grabbed her arm. "Hide, quickly!" They stumbled out of the water, dripping, their boots squeaking against the wet floor. They looked around frantically for a place to conceal themselves. The chamber was small with only one door. There was nowhere to go. The footsteps reached the hallway outside. A shadow moved beneath the doorframe. Arya pressed herself against the wall, her breath fast and shallow. Lyra stood beside her, her heart pounding. They were soaked, steam rising from their skin, their hair clinging to their faces. If the human entered now, they would be caught without question. The handle of the door rattled. The sisters froze. The suspense was unbearable. The sound of the water roared in their ears, louder than thunder. Would the human step inside? Would their secret mission end tonight? Or would fate give them one more chance to learn the truth of Earth? The door began to turn, and the mystery of the human shower was about to reach a dangerous new stage. The door handle turned, but then silence. The human did not enter. Instead, the footsteps moved away once more, fading into another part of the house. The sisters exhaled at the same time, relief flooding through them. Arya leaned against the wet wall, her hair dripping. "We were almost caught," she whispered, her voice shaking. Lyra nodded, her eyes still sharp and alert. "Yes, too close, but maybe this is our only chance. We must learn everything we can before they return." The water continued to fall, steady and endless. It filled the chamber with sound and mist, almost like a living song. The sisters stepped forward again, their fear slowly giving way to curiosity. Arya reached out her hands and let the water pour over them. She turned her palms back and forth, watching how the stream changed shape. She laughed softly, almost like a child discovering something new. "It dances with me," she said. "It does not fight, it does not harm. It only touches and flows away." Lyra crouched to study the floor. She noticed a small circle where the water disappeared. "Look," she said, pointing. "The water falls, but it does not stay. It vanishes into the ground. The humans have made a way to trap it, to carry it somewhere else. This is no simple plaything. This is control." Arya tilted her head, amazed. They control the rain itself, inside their homes. No other species in the galaxy does this. Only humans. Lyra stood, her cloak heavy with water. "This is why they are dangerous. Not because they waste resources, but because they master them. They take what is wild and they tame it." The sisters moved carefully under the stream, letting it soak them again. Their alien skin shimmered faintly in the light as drops slid down their arms. At first they were stiff and cautious, but soon their movements grew bolder. Arya spun slowly in the water, laughing with delight. "It covers me. It feels like a storm, but softer. Warm, not cold. Gentle, but powerful." Lyra allowed herself a small smile, though she kept her composure. "Careful, sister. We must not forget we are here to study, not to play." But even she could not hide the truth. Her body relaxed under the steady stream, her tension fading. The water pressed against her shoulders, washed down her arms, and filled her with a strange calm she had never known. For a long time they only stood there, exploring the sensations. They pressed their hands together under the falling stream. They watched the drops run along their fingers. They closed their eyes and let the sound fill their minds. "This is more than cleansing," Lyra said at last. "It is more than ritual. It changes how we feel. It changes who we are." Arya nodded eagerly. "Yes, it makes me lighter, stronger, like my spirit has been lifted." Lyra's expression grew serious again. "Then perhaps this is the secret we came for. Perhaps this is the human advantage. While other species fear storms, humans invite storms into their homes. They let the rain touch them, and it does not break them. It heals them." Arya gasped softly, as if the idea itself was too big to hold. "Do you think this is why humans never surrender? Because they draw courage from this ritual?" Lyra did not answer, but her silence spoke loudly. Suddenly a new sound cut through the roar of the water. A faint creak from the hallway again. The footsteps had returned. This time slower, heavier, more certain. Arya froze. They are coming back. Lyra grabbed her wrist. No sudden moves. We cannot run. If we run, they will hear. If we hide, there is nowhere to go. We must remain calm. The sisters pressed themselves against the far wall of the chamber, trying to blend with the steam. Their hearts pounded, their breath shallow. The handle of the door rattled once more. The door opened, this time wider. White steam poured out into the hallway. A shadow stretched across the floor. The sisters did not move. They waited, drenched and trembling. But then the footsteps stopped. The door closed again. The human had decided not to enter. Arya exhaled so hard she almost collapsed. The stars protect us. Lyra steadied her. Not for long. We cannot keep tempting fate. We must finish our experiment before they return again. Arya's eyes sparkled with both fear and excitement. What more can we learn? Lyra thought quickly. We must test how long this ritual lasts, how strong the water remains, and how it affects the body. Only then will we understand why humans do this. So they continued. They touched the falling stream with different parts of their bodies, their hands, their arms, their faces. They leaned closer, letting the water strike their foreheads and run down their cheeks. They even placed their hands together to shape the water, watching how it bent and broke apart. Every new discovery filled them with wonder. This is endless, Arya whispered. It never stops, Lyra nodded slowly. And that is the most dangerous part. If they can make water infinite, then nothing can defeat them. The sound of footsteps echoed again, this time closer than before. The sisters knew their time was nearly up. Arya whispered in panic, "We must leave." Lyra shook her head. "Not yet. One last test." She stepped fully under the falling water, letting it pour down over her entire body. She closed her eyes, raised her arms, and stood tall. The water soaked her from head to toe, but she did not flinch. Instead, she felt something she had not felt in years. Peace. When she stepped back, her eyes glowed brighter. "Yes," she whispered. "Now I understand. This is not just ritual. This is power." Arya stared at her in awe, then quickly followed her example. Both sisters now stood soaked and trembling, their minds overwhelmed, their hearts racing. And as the footsteps drew nearer once more, they knew the experiment was over. The time of discovery had ended. The time of danger was about to begin. The sisters stood dripping in silence, their bodies glowing faintly under the dim light. The shower poured endlessly, the sound echoing in their ears like thunder that never ended. The footsteps outside had grown faint again, giving them a brief moment of safety. But neither Lyra nor Arya moved to leave. Their minds were too heavy with wonder, too full of questions. Arya brushed wet hair from her golden eyes, breathing hard. "Sister, this is not just water. This is something greater. I can feel it inside me. It makes my spirit lighter, stronger." Lyra studied the endless stream, her jaw set with thought. "Yes, you are right. This is more than cleansing. This is more than play. This could be the reason humans are so powerful." Arya tilted her head, trying to understand. But how? How can falling water give them strength? It is only a resource. Lyra turned to her younger sister, her voice calm but firm. "Think carefully, Arya. Humans are fragile, but they survive against all odds. They endure storms, hunger, fire, war. They do not break easily. Why? Because they have rituals like this. They take something wild like water and they tame it. They bring it into their homes. They let it touch them, and in doing so they learn not to fear it. They grow stronger." Arya's mouth fell open. "You mean this shower is a training ground?" Lyra's eyes glowed. "Yes, a test of spirit. Perhaps every human must pass this test daily. Perhaps this is how they remain unbroken." The younger sister gasped. She stepped forward, staring at the endless flow. "So this is not waste. This is sacrifice. They pour water again and again, giving it back to the earth so the earth will give them strength in return. A ritual of balance." Lyra allowed the idea to settle. It made sense in its own strange way. Humans were known for their resilience, for drawing power from the simplest things. Perhaps this was their secret, an everyday ritual that bonded them with their world. The sisters crouched near the drain, studying the water vanish into the ground. Arya touched it, her fingers brushing the stream as it slipped away. They let it go, and yet they are not afraid. They trust the flow. They trust it will return. That faith must be their weapon. Lyra whispered, almost in awe. "No other species does this. To us, water is treasure to guard." To them, water is life to be shared. That is why they are different. That is why they cannot be conquered. Arya rose to her feet, her expression glowing with admiration. Humans are not only clever. They are bold. They make even water obey them. For a moment, the chamber felt like a holy place. The steam curled around them like smoke from sacred fire. The sound of falling water became a chant, a hymn to the strength of humanity. The sisters bowed their heads slightly, as if paying respect to the ritual they did not fully understand, but their awe was soon broken. A floorboard creaked outside. Both sisters snapped their heads toward the door. The footsteps were back. Heavier now, closer, steady. Arya's eyes filled with fear. The human is coming again. This time they will not stop. Lyra clenched her jaw. Then we must finish our discovery quickly. If they see us, we cannot explain. But we must take the truth with us. We must carry it home. Arya nodded, though her body trembled. Together they stood in the falling water one last time, letting it pour over them. They whispered to each other in their alien tongue, marking every detail in memory. The sound, the warmth, the way the mist filled their lungs. Arya closed her eyes. I will never forget this. This is the secret of humans. They draw strength from storms inside their homes. Lyra placed her hand on her sister's shoulder. Yes, this is the discovery we sought. Not machines, not weapons, but rituals. The humans do not conquer worlds with power alone. They conquer with spirit. The footsteps stopped right outside the door. The sisters froze, soaked and shivering. The handle turned again. Steam escaped into the hallway as the door cracked open. A faint shadow stretched into the chamber. Arya's breath caught in her throat. She whispered urgently, Sister, what do we do? Lyra's eyes narrowed. We wait, we hold our ground. If the human enters, we will learn even more. If they see us, then fate has chosen. The door creaked wider. The sisters pressed closer together, hearts racing, dripping water onto the floor. The ritual chamber that had filled them with awe only moments ago now became a trap, a cage. Yet still, deep inside, they carried the discovery. They now believed they had found the secret of Earth, the wild shower, the ritual that gave humans their courage, their resilience, their unbreakable spirit, and even if they were caught, they would never forget it. The door creaked wider, letting more steam escape into the hallway. The sisters held their breath. Every drop of water falling from their cloaks sounded loud, like tiny drums beating against the silence. The footsteps outside stopped again, and for a moment time itself felt frozen. Arya pressed her back against the wall, her golden eyes trembling with fear. They are here, she whispered. The human is here. Lyra's pale blue eyes narrowed, her voice low but firm. Stay calm. Do not run. Humans are hunters. If we flee, they will chase. If we remain, they may not harm us, but her words did not calm Arya. Her heart raced, her body shivered, and her thoughts screamed with panic. To be discovered by a human was dangerous beyond measure. Their mission was meant to be silent, unseen. Now they were cornered, soaked, and exposed. The door pushed open another inch. A hand appeared on the frame. A human hand, skin pink and warm, fingers long and strong. Arya gasped, covering her mouth. The sisters pressed closer together, praying the steam would hide them. The shower roared behind them, filling the chamber with mist. But humans were clever. Humans noticed details others missed. If the human entered fully, they would not remain unseen. The door opened wider, and the sisters saw part of a figure, a shadow against the light. The human was close, only a step away from seeing everything. Lyra's voice was steady but sharp. If we are seen, we must not speak of our world. We must protect our people. Do you understand? Arya nodded, though her knees shook. Yes, sister. But what if they... The door suddenly slammed shut. The footsteps retreated. The human had chosen not to enter. For several seconds, the sisters stood frozen, staring at the closed door. Steam curled around them, their hearts pounding louder than the water itself. Arya collapsed to her knees in relief, tears mixing with the drops on her face. The stars protect us. They left. Lyra exhaled slowly, though her body still trembled with tension. No, not protect, warn. They are cautious. They sense something. Arya looked up, her voice full of fear. Then we are not safe. Lyra shook her head. No, we are not. The human will return. Next time they will not stop. The sisters stood, dripping and shivering, their minds torn between awe of the shower and dread of discovery. Their experiment was over, their discovery made, but now came the price. A sudden noise outside made them stiffen again. This time it was not a single footstep. It was the sound of movement, stronger, heavier. Someone was walking with purpose. Lyra's eyes hardened. They are coming. Truly coming. Arya clutched her sister's arm. What do we do? Lyra scanned the chamber quickly. There was no escape. Only one door, no windows. The steam hid them partially, but not enough. We face them, she said at last. We will see the human with our own eyes. Perhaps we can learn more before it is too late. The words made Arya tremble, but she trusted her sister. Together they stood tall, even though their cloaks clung heavily to their bodies, even though their hearts begged them to run. The door handle turned again. This time the door swung fully open. The human entered. A tall figure stepped inside, carrying a faint glow from the hallway light. His skin was pale from the cool night air, his hair damp as if he had just returned from outside. His eyes, sharp and curious, scanned the chamber, and then he saw them. Two strange women standing in his shower, cloaked and shimmering, their hair dripping, their eyes glowing unnaturally in the mist. The human froze. His face shifted from surprise to disbelief. His mouth opened slightly as if words failed him. Arya gasped, clutching Lyra's hand. He sees us. Lyra stood firm, her chin raised. She spoke softly, not in words of her people, but in silence of her stance. She would not show fear. The human blinked, rubbed his eyes, and looked again. The sight did not vanish. The two alien sisters stood real and solid, breathing, dripping, alive. A long silence filled the chamber. The water kept roaring, the steam kept rising, but none of them moved. Finally, the human spoke. His voice was low, confused, almost gentle. "Who are you?" The words struck the sisters like lightning. They had prepared for weapons, alarms, even violence. But not this, curiosity. Arya swallowed hard. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Lyra stepped forward slightly, her voice steady though her heart pounded. "We are explorers." The human tilted his head, his brow furrowed. "Explorers? From where?" Neither sister answered. To reveal their world was forbidden. Instead, Lyra simply said, "We came to understand, to learn why humans are strong." The human blinked again, then let out something unexpected. A laugh, a short disbelieving laugh. "You broke into my house," he said, shaking his head, "to try the shower?" The sisters exchanged a quick look. The word shower was unknown to them, but clearly this was the name of the ritual. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Is this not sacred?" The human laughed again, louder this time, though not cruelly. "Sacred, it's just a shower. Just water, that's all." Arya's eyes widened in shock. "Just water, no. It is more than that. It is power." The human's smile faded into confusion. He studied them carefully as if trying to decide if they were insane or something else entirely. Lyra held his gaze. "To us this is strength. To us this is ritual. To us this is human power." The room fell silent again, the only sound the endless roar of falling water. The human did not answer at once. His eyes softened almost with pity. Then he sighed. "You really aren't from here, are you?" The sister said nothing, and in that silence the truth of first contact was sealed. The room was heavy with silence, broken only by the roar of the shower. Steam curled in every corner, wrapping the human and the two alien sisters in a strange and fragile moment. The human stood tall, his face half lit by the hallway glow. His expression was a mixture of disbelief, curiosity, and nervous humor. Lyra and Arya, soaked and trembling, stood together like two statues carved from water and mist. Lyra's pale blue eyes did not move from him. She measured his every breath, his every glance. This was the moment of truth. First contact, unexpected and unavoidable. The human finally spoke, his tone softer this time. "You're not from here. I can see it. No one looks like you. No one glows like you." Arya's golden eyes darted to her sister, fear flickering in them. Lyra placed a firm hand on her shoulder, calming her. "We are explorers," Lyra said slowly, her words careful, her voice steady. "We crossed stars to understand this world. And now we have found your secret." The human frowned. "Secret, you mean the shower?" Arya stepped forward, her voice filled with conviction. "Yes, this ritual, this endless rain inside your home. It gives you power. It gives you spirit. It makes you strong." For a moment, the human only stared. Then he chuckled, shaking his head. You really don't get it. It's just hygiene. We use showers to clean ourselves. That's all. Nothing more. The sisters stiffened at his words. Clean? Hygiene? Such simple ideas could not explain the depth of what they had felt. Lyra's lips tightened. No. You may call it simple, but we know what it truly is. It changes the body. It lifts the mind. It teaches courage. Perhaps you do not see it because you are human. But we see. The human sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. You're serious, aren't you? You came all this way across the galaxy, and what impressed you most was a shower. Arya raised her chin proudly, water still dripping down her face. Yes, because in this ritual we see who you truly are. You are not like other species. You do not only fight storms. You bring storms into your homes. You tame them. You welcome them. That is why the galaxy fears you. That is why you endure. The human blinked, taken aback by her intensity. He looked at Lyra, then back at Arya. For a long moment he had no words. Then slowly he smiled, not mocking this time, but thoughtful. Well, he said quietly, I never thought I'd hear someone call a shower the secret of humanity, but if that's what you believe, who am I to argue? Lyra stepped forward, her cloak heavy with water. She bowed her head slightly, a gesture of respect. We will not reveal your truth to others. We will carry it with us. But know this, your strength is not hidden anymore. We have seen it. The human gave a small laugh. Strength? From hot water and soap? He shook his head again, but his eyes carried a strange glimmer, as if part of him liked the idea. Arya whispered to her sister, We should leave before more humans come. Lyra agreed. Yes, we have learned enough. The sisters stepped back, their glowing eyes still fixed on the human. Steam swirled around them like a veil, blurring their shapes. Then with a shimmer of their cloaks, their forms began to fade. The human's eyes widened. Wait, where are you going? Lyra's voice echoed softly through the mist. Back to the stars. But we will remember, Arya added, her tone almost reverent. The ritual of the wild shower will be told among our people. They will know why humans are unbroken. And then, with a final flash of light, the sisters were gone. Only the sound of falling water remained. The human stood alone, staring at the empty chamber. He rubbed his eyes, wondering if he had imagined it all. 2 glowing women from the stars, sneaking into his house just to stand in his shower. It sounded insane. And yet the wet footprints on the floor were real. He let out a long breath, shaking his head with disbelief. Aliens. And they think showers are our secret weapon. A laugh escaped his lips, but then, as he looked at the falling water, he paused. He touched it, let it run across his fingers, and for a moment he wondered, maybe they weren't entirely wrong. Because there was something about it. The warmth, the sound, the way it washed away the weight of the world. Maybe in its own way it really was a kind of power. The human smiled faintly, closing the door behind him. Well, if they tell their people, maybe the galaxy will finally think twice before messing with Earth. Steam filled the room once more. The shower roared on, ordinary yet extraordinary, just as the aliens had seen it, and far above the planet, 2 sisters guided their ship back into the stars, carrying with them a story no one would believe, a story of humans, storms, and the ritual of water that made them the most mysterious species in the universe.